presentation, value as a proposition. We're all salespeople out here, aren't we? In one way, shape, or form, we have to use tools that we have at our availability to be able to express the sales function and the promotion of our products, and words are the main tools when it comes to the main element that we use. We can use samples, we can use catalogs, but our description of what we're trying to get the customer to buy comes from us. And using the right words are very important, but we need to use words that have meaning. For example, in our industry, there's one word that comes up quite often: quality. Let me ask you a question. Rhetorical, you don't have to answer. What is quality? If you had to define quality, how would you define it? You know, quality is one of those terms that we use it, we kind of know what it is, but it's very, very hard to put in descriptive terms or put a definition on it. If we were to use automobiles, for example, there's certainly no one would question that any of the autos in this picture, the cars in this picture, are quality automobiles. Even if we're looking at something from back in the 30s or 40s or even in the 50s versus today, these were quality automobiles. But how do you define quality in a 1956 Cadillac convertible as compared to a modern-day Tesla? What is it there that make those quality automobiles? Is it just price? Well, it can't necessarily be the case, because when we look at cars that are driven every day in and day out, we can't argue the fact that they're also quality automobiles, quality items. You know, there's an expression about things like quality. We might not be able to tell what it is, but we can certainly tell you what it isn't. So quality becomes a difficult feature to sell in a product because no one tells you that they don't have quality. Who tries to sell an unquality lighting fixture? We try to tell people we have a quality lighting fixture. How do we compare that to anyone else? Another word that has that same issue is style or design or aesthetics. What exactly is style? What indicates that something is modern? You know, when it comes to other venues, men's ties in fashion, wide, narrow, print, paisley, the materials and such, they change all the time. And it seems like today it really doesn't matter which style you pick, you're always in style. Even more so than that comes to women's dresses. Certainly nothing that you see here would be called out of style, but nothing that you see here drew its inspiration from any of the other pictures that are there. So how do we define that? And one of the ultimates when it comes to style has to do with hairstyle. Now, ladies, I apologize. I only show men here because the screen's not large enough to show all of the styles that were available to draw from to illustrate this point. But when we look at the styles here that are shown from celebrities of the 40s or 50s or even celebrities of today, can we say that any of these are not in style? They're very stylish for the time period or even for today. So the problem we have here is some words that are chosen to define, that we use to try and define product, don't really have a solid definition or a way of comparing them to other elements to really show the advantage that's there. There's another word that really relates to our discussion today that has the same issue, and that's value. Now, value has a little bit different few elements going for it. First of all, when we think what value is, value might be an intangible thing. It might be, for example, an education. No one would argue with the fact that a college education or a higher education is of value. Even a high school education is of value. But what does that mean? Or it may have to do with our lifestyle or quality of life. We put great value in this, but someone who enjoys living in a bucolic setting such as these might find living in a downtown city area, an urban area, as something that doesn't appeal to them and has no value. So value can be very tenuous as far as trying to define it. Value might also be something that's simply the improvement of the individual themselves. So what exactly is value? Well, when it comes to the business world, value is one of those terms that does have a measurement, and that measurement always comes down to money. Somewhere in the equation, value has a connection to the cost of an item. When we look at what value is, it's kind of interesting. The largest retailer in the country limits what it targets as value. When you look at Walmart's value chain, it begins and ends with a primary element, price. You notice on the supply side, they bargain for the lowest possible price because they're high volume of sales. And on the shopper side, they pass on those low prices and give the customer the ability to return any item. No mention about style, no mention about quality, nothing else that's in there, simply the movement of that product from the supplier to the shopper, how they're going to do that, and the lowest price possible. So the value proposition there is really one that connects mostly to money. And for good or for bad, this has become something ingrained in people's minds today as to how much dollars and cents have to do with value. In fact, it's interesting. Warren Buffett, the sage of Omaha, made this statement rather famous: price is what you pay, value is what you get. Now, that's a rather interesting statement because it doesn't put any degree on there to say, is it a good price, a bad price, or is it good value or bad value? Price is what you pay, value is what you get. So when developing a product of any type, and we want to try and put value into it and describe what value is, we have to look at a number of elements. Price is certainly one of the key elements that's in there, but how far do we go in instilling all of these other qualities: ease of use, quality itself, reliability, durability, and all these things? How do we impart value and price and find the right balance in there? Well, that's what we're going to show you today, because we are going to bring to you value in the form of a lighting fixture, which is rightly named ValuLume. This is the perfect blend of value and lighting, and that's why we use this particular name. And we're going to do something different in this presentation than in most others. Most other presentations, we've kind of gone through the feature description and the benefits, and then we tease you a little bit with the catalog and the spec sheets and so forth, and then we give you an idea of what the price is. We're going to go backwards on this one. We're going to start right up front, and we're going to do what Warren Buffett said: price is what you pay. ValuLume will sell from the low 300s to the low 400s depending upon the configuration. We've taken the mystery out of it. That's the price you're going to pay. Now let's find out how much is in this fixture. What do you get? Value is what you get. Let's look at the value that you get. Starting off with optics. ValuLume ranges from 40 LEDs driven at 350 milliamps to 80 LEDs at 1,050 milliamps. Or in traditional lighting parlance, from about 70 watt metal halide to 450 watt metal halide. ValuLume has field replaceable optics. This is something that is not common necessarily in the LED part of the industry. You have the ability to replace any of the PLED panels, change the distribution type, change the color temperature if need be, just simply by depressing releasing the 4 screws that'll drop the panel, and then depressing the 2 buttons on the inline terminal block, and you can then release the panel and replace it with a different panel that's in there. The panels, because you can drop those 4 screws and they're square, are also field rotatable, which allows you to change the direction of throw of the pattern. And that's important because we have 10 different distribution patterns available within ValuLume. 7 of them are asymmetric distributions, which rotating them would matter. 3 of them are symmetric in the type 5, narrow, medium, and wide. But on the other 7, rotating them gives you the ability to keep the fixture heads in one orientation, but pick up different directions for the light pattern to be shown or to be thrown, which can be very advantageous to pick up the idiosyncrasies of a site. However, it goes even further than that, because this is something that was typical even with a lot of HID, higher quality HID fixtures had this type of fixture, or this type of feature. But there's another element here, since we're using multiple LED panels within the ValuLume product. You can even take to rotating the panels in different directions within a fixture, one single fixture. For example, I can take and rotate and have all 4 panels in the luminaire pointing in one direction that are all type 3, and I get my direction of throw just as a traditional fixture would have. Or I can take in the one luminaire and take 2 of the panels and direct them one way, 2 of the panels direct them another way, and simulate back-to-back type 3 luminaires in one fixture body. Or Instead of 180 degrees, rotate 2 panels at 0 and 2 at 90, and throw it at 90 degrees. Now you're really talking about some flexibility in optical control to combine with the 10 different patterns and also the rotatability. No one else has something like this to offer in the field, so ValuLume really expresses itself as a very flexible fixture to use. And in addition to this, standard optics, you also have house side shielding, factory installed house side shielding on the panels, so that you can add that to control the backlight for trespass on projects. Perhaps you need to go in after the fact and replace some of the standard panels with house side shield panels. You can do that because we have field replaceable optics. And the effectiveness of that house side shielding is illustrated with the Type 2 and the Type 4 is shown here, where the 0.1 ISO foot candle lines are knocked down to less than a half a mounting height behind the luminaire. So very effective house side shielding without having a big piece of metal hanging off of the luminaire. Now notice that as we've gone through this with ValuLume in the optical side, that price didn't change. Still in the low 300s to 400s price range. When we take all of those optics and we put them inside of a fixture body that's constructed to control the thermals that you have with LED product, and that's very important, more so today than ever before, because since LEDs are solid-state devices, we need to make sure that we're controlling the temperature more so than took place in the old HID technology days. There's a lot of benefits to running LEDs cooler. For example, we know this one, this is kind of like preaching to the choir. LEDs maintain their light level output longer the cooler they run. The reason this happens isn't so much due to the electronics inside of them. There's a certain element of that once you get to an extremely long life on the LED. But the little covering over the phosphors and the LED chip material inside, that's actually a lens. And that's a plastic type compound that as it ages, it darkens, just like any other lighting fixture lens will do that's plastic. If you take a fixture that has a plastic lens and you run the temperature too high, the lens will start to brown out, the lens will turn opaque, and you lose your transmissive qualities. Same thing happens with an LED. As it ages, that plastic material ages and it becomes less transmissive, and that's the reason you have the degradation in light output. That's why running LEDs at a cooler temperature allows their light levels to last longer. Another benefit from running them cooler is that your color temperatures remain stable for a longer period of time. Your phosphors don't shift. If you keep your LED temperature lower, those phosphors maintain the same color. You don't see different colors within a fixture or different colors from fixture to fixture. And LEDs operate more efficiently at lower junction temperatures and lower drive currents. The junction temperature that you hear talked about a lot is the actual physical temperature inside the LED itself. And there's a finite way that manufacturers have of measuring that. And what the chart here illustrates is that coming from the LED suppliers or manufacturers, they're telling us that tested at 85 degrees C, you're getting 100% light output from the LED. As the temperature increases on the LED, the output of the LED becomes less than 100%, so it decreases, becomes less efficient. If we lower the operating temperature below that 85 degrees C, the output of the LED actually goes up. A lot of manufacturers try and drive their LEDs up in this 110 degree range because it allows them to use fewer components, pack them in tighter, and run them hotter. It certainly doesn't damage them. They're built to stand up to 150 or 160 degrees C, but the efficiency of them drops off tremendously. We make a practice of trying to maintain a junction temperature that does not exceed 90 degrees C, even at our highest drive currents. And when you look at the drive currents, as you reduce the drive current, separate from the temperature, you also get an increase in efficiency in the LED output. So temperature is everything when it comes to LEDs and their performance. And aside from using good quality LEDs that can get the heat off of themselves, we also build that into the luminaire itself, the luminaire body. You've seen in our specifications, or if you've not paid attention, you probably will after this discussion, that when we show a description of the luminaire, we always mention this A356 alloy that we do all of our castings out of. This is very important because it's an alloy that's used in sand castings, and it has the highest thermal conductivity of all of the casting alloys. Now, having come from another conglomerate manufacturer, I'm here to tell you virtually every other large conglomerate die cast with an A360 material. Now, that's a good quality material for doing die castings with for a lot of other physical properties. However, it doesn't have the same thermal conductivity that the A356 material does. If you do just a simple math on it, divide 113 by 151, you'll find that the A356 is 35% plus more conductive to heat than any of these other aluminum alloys. We then take that body that's cast out of this more conductive aluminum and we mill the surface that the LED circuit boards mount to a flatness of 3/1000 over 12 inches. The only way to describe that is to say it's really, 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 really flat. And the reason for that is it gives us full contact of the PLED circuit boards to the metal, gets good heat transfer. It also is what allows us to be able to do field rotatability, field replacement, because we don't need thermal pastes, we don't need heat transfer pads or any of this other type of material in order to accomplish good heat transfer between the LED circuit boards and the housing itself. And with all of that built into it, you'll notice still ValuLume is in the low 300s, the low 400s. Control options available for ValuLume. We've got something new, a few new things here to show you, and something that we've had for a while that we want to clarify. The HLSW, which you've seen for a long time in our products, is actually a high-low switching system that's designed to be controlled by a variety of different elements. A time clock, building automation system, perhaps a master motion sensor that controls a number of fixtures in an area, or some other digital switching signal. All it is it requires an on-off signal, it's a pair of wires, and it will step dim the fixture from 50 to 100%. We also have available now, which this will be, all these things will be adding to other fixtures as well, the 7-pin dimming receptacle, the ANSI C136.41 dimming receptacles that people are using for central control systems where you're controlling a number of different types of luminaires from different manufacturers with the same control platform. We have that option available, as well as a standard photocell receptacle, if that's what you decide to use. And then we have a new item that's being listed, the MS-F211, which is a pre-programmed motion sensor that's designed, we program it out of here to step dim from 50 to 100%, and it holds at 100% for a duration of 10 minutes before it steps back down to 50%. So all these control options are available for ValuLume. You haven't lost anything in the way of control for using this product on day in and day out projects. ValuLume truly is exactly what its name says. It's a value and illumination fixture. And in order to get across to your engineers, your users, all of the features and availability or items that are available here, you have the standard spec sheet on ValuLume, which shows 10 different distributions, 4 different drive currents, the various options we talked about, all the technical data for different color temperatures and such is on the 3rd page of the spec sheet. We wanted you to see the standard spec sheet because ValuLume will also be available on a quick ship program. This is the most important element involved, and the spec sheets for that are different. The spec sheets for the expedited availability program show the specific catalog numbers that match up with the promo sheets that will show the pricing for specific models. Now, there's 4 different levels to the promo, or 4 different elements to the promo. There's the standard fixture. There's the standard fixture with the universal pole adapter. Then we have the ValuLume fixture with a pole rated for 100-mile-an-hour winds, and the ValuLume with the pole rated for 140-mile-an-hour winds. So there's 4 different sets of spec sheets to go along with these expedited availability programs. Expedited availability spec sheets match up with the catalog numbers for these units so that you don't confuse the 2-week ship period product with the standard product that you can configure however you need to. Now, in all of these variations, you also have 2-week shipment availability for the product. There's also a house side shield or a surge protector available for a nominal upcharge that will add 3 days to the shipping period. Apart from the spec sheets, the promo sheets that will all be available, We also have an 8-page ValuLume catalog that will be bulk mailing out to you beginning next week. We'll also have some of these at the show. But everything you've seen in this presentation so far is available in the catalog. ValuLume, absolutely the way to go. It's price, you see what it is for what you pay, and now you see the value that you get for this price of the low 300s to low 400s. ValuLume is truly value in illumination by U.S. Architectural Lighting. The fixture will be available to ship beginning May 1st.